Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Going to spend some time talking to Keith Wyche, and I believe he's involved in lots of different things. Delighted to be able to have him as a guest today to talk about what he's doing to make the business world a better place. Corner Office Rules, the 10 realities of executive life. Keith, welcome to the program. Tell us a little bit about your background and what got you to being involved in this experience.
Great, Kevin. Thanks so much for having me. I'm a 32-plus year veteran of corporate America. I've worked for companies such as IBM, AT&T, Pitney Bowes, and up until we sold the company last year, I was CEO of Acme Markets, a $3 billion grocery chain. What I really wanted to do with Corner Office Rules is to really help those aspiring leaders understand that it's one thing to want to be a leader, it's another thing when you're in that seat, and really waking them up to, 10 things or so that most of them don't realize when they step into those roles.
Okay, let's talk about them. Why don't you go ahead and kind of give us a list of all of them first, and then let's kind of explore some of them that kind of stick out to me.
Yeah, well, again, the ones that really stick out, first and foremost, is that you don't know everything. That's one that a lot of leaders, when they get to a certain level, they feel that their success has gotten them there and they know the right way and they know all the answers. The reality is you don't. You have to leverage your team. Another one is criticism. Criticism is a given as a senior leader, and a lot of people struggle with criticism. But you have to understand, someone once said that the higher a monkey goes up the tree, the more of his backside you get to see. And so the higher you are on the food chain, the higher you go on the ladder, you're very visible. Your values will be tested. Many times you will be in situations where you'll have your values tested. Another one that just really sticks out is loneliness. And it's not lonely because you're just an isolated creature. It's primarily lonely, Kevin, because you have access to information that you can't share. And so those are some of the bigger ones that really stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. They always say it's an old cliche, isn't it? It's lonely on the top.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, imagine, being a leader and you are aware of a layoff that's coming, 6 months down the road, and you have to work with folks knowing that they won't be there 6 months from now, and you can't tell them. That's tough. Imagine when you're going to sell a business, and you can't tell people you're selling this business. So those are things that can be very tough and lonely and isolating. Yeah,
absolutely. And that, I guess, makes it really important for people to think of their business context outside of the business, if you know what I mean. Make sure you have developed relationships beyond your business and not merely be, the workaholic and not even merely be the family guy, because, frankly, they don't want to hear about your challenges at work all the time. So it's very important to be socially integrated, don't you think?
Absolutely. In fact, one of the chapters I said the company can't love you back, so get a life. Too often, one of the things that I won't say I regret, but I look back on my career, I have 4 adult children now, and they can all each recite a time in their life that there was a significant event in their life that I missed because of work, that when I look back really wasn't overly important. And the reality of it is with succession planning, none of us are, irreplaceable. And so the minute you step off the scene, there's 10 people lined up to take your place. So you need to find a certain amount of what I call balance in your life.
I think that's probably the most upsetting fact is that we are all incredibly replaceable.
It's the reality. So that also says don't take yourself too serious.
I like what you wrote about reputation is everything. Elaborate on that.
Well, reputation is everything. And the reason I say that is because as a leader, you have to be a person, a man or woman of integrity, and people will look at you both in your role and outside of your role. And so it's important that in this world of social media, in this world of, very quick news cycles, that you don't do anything or you don't behave in a way that really brings down your organization, but your own, as well as your own reputation, because that'll follow you. 20, 30 years ago, pre-Twitter, camera phones, you could have gotten away with certain things, but you really have to understand that you're on the clock 24/7, you're being watched all the time, and your reputation, once it's damaged, it can be difficult to really recover sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, there's all these cliches that are so important. You only have one chance to make a first impression, and it is really easy to destroy a reputation that a positive reputation can be destroyed that's been accumulated over months, could be accumulated in minutes. And so, it's really, really imperative for people to keep these things in mind. Talk a little bit about how the perception gap widens.
Well, the perception gap will widen because you look at yourself, and all of us, there's a certain amount of ego to be a leader, but for the most part, you think you're a regular person, you're a regular guy, you're a regular gal. The reality is your role creates in the minds of folks who report to you this really big, a bigger-than-life persona, and everything you do sends off signals. I tell a story about how I love red velvet cake. When I was running a grocery chain in Minneapolis, I just mentioned to someone that I like red velvet cake. 2 weeks later, every bakery and every store I had red velvet cake, red velvet donuts, red velvet donut holes. And when I asked why, they said, well, because you said. Well, the reality was I never said that. But again, my shadow was such and my presence was such that it really put a picture in their mind that that's what Keith wants, so let's do it. So you have to really understand everything about you sends off a signal as a leader. Yeah,
no question about it. People have got to be aware of this. Really, really great stuff. What compels you to write it? What made you feel like this was important?
Kevin, I'm at a point in my career, I'm an AARP card carrying member, and you start thinking about leaving a legacy. You think about the folks who are coming up behind you. And I think that the one job of a leader is to create, future leaders. And so it was really my effort to kind of put pen to paper and just jot some notes down that can help that next generation of leadership.
Very good, very good. By the way, where can they get more information about the book?
Well, you can get more information at my website, KeithWyche.com, as well as you can follow me on Twitter at Keith Wyche. That's KeithWyche.
Yeah, and that's WYCHE. Make sure you get that. By the way, what part of the country are you in?
I am in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love.
City of brotherly love. What do you do now? Have you retired, or you still continue to work? Frankly, looking at your picture, you look too young to retire. So.
Well. Again, I'm in my 50s with 4 grown kids. I'm not retired. I'm rewired. So again, a lot of what I'm doing is consulting with Fortune 1000 organizations about leadership, diversity, and inclusion, writing and speaking all over the country.
Is the diversity aspect a major part of your consulting?
It is, and again, I approach diversity with diversity of thought, because if you embrace diversity of thought, you bring everyone to the table. Yeah,
which I think is really important. There's a lot of polarization, in my opinion, in the diversity training field. And so, we need to, I like the way that sounds. I'd love to learn more. Keith Wyche, WYCHE.com, Corner Office Rules, the 10 Realities of Executive Life. Check it out today. Go over there and check it out. Keith, thanks so much for being with us.
Kevin, thanks so much for having me.
You bet. When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you the best content here can be found over there at USDailyReview.com. While there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter. Also, want to remind you to keep in touch 24/7 with PriceOfBusiness.com, and that's what you're listening to, The Price of Business.